I'm Clint Grover with Never Done Industries, and today I'm going to teach you guys how to tell if a car is fast just by looking at it.
I didn't have anybody around to teach me about cars when I was growing up, so I've had to spend the better part of the last 30 years learning on my own the hard way. Now, I'm here to teach you everything I've learned along the way. These are lessons from a car guy.
Before we get started, a quick disclaimer. This is a beginner's guide to how to tell if a car is fast or not by looking at it. There are a ton of other variables involved. I'm talking about street cars, right? I'm not talking about stuff down at the track and race cars and things. There are a lot of different options. There are a lot of different variables. This is a beginner's general overview of how to tell if a car is fast or not just by looking at it. When it comes to fast cars, sometimes looks can be deceiving, right? Sometimes you get a car that looks really, really fast, and it's really not. And then sometimes you get a car that really doesn't look like much, but surprisingly, it's actually freaking fast, right? So how do you tell the difference just by looking at it? So there's a few different things that you want to look at when you're trying to figure out if a car is fast. Now there's something that I'm assuming here. I'm assuming that you haven't looked under the hood. I'm assuming you don't know the guy that owns it and he hasn't told you all the crap he's done to it, and you haven't actually seen it run, right? I'm assuming that you're either seeing it in a parking lot or at a car show, or that it's just driving down the road and you're thinking about racing it or whatever, okay? So this is the back of the car here, and the first thing that you want to look for is the exhaust, okay? This is all the way back to the old muscle cars and things, all right? This is a telltale sign, right? If you have, over on the passenger side typically, if you have a single exhaust, it's probably a 4 or 6 cylinder. It's most likely, if it is boosted, if it does have a turbo or something on it, it's probably not turned up very high, let's say it like that, okay? If it has a single exhaust, it's probably not fast. Unless, oh boy, that's making a mess. Unless that exhaust is big, okay? If it has a big exhaust, then there's a chance that it might be fast, okay? Because a powerful engine has, it runs a lot of air through it, okay? And so it's got a lot of exhaust that it has to get rid of. So the first thing we're gonna look for is exhaust. A lot of times on like the tuner cars and stuff, the Alero is an example, the Never Done Alero, you'll have the tuner style exhaust. Sometimes some guys call them fart cans because they make the brrr noise, right? So a big exhaust does not necessarily mean it's fast, but it's something to look for, particularly if it is not a great big giant one. If it looks like it's a stock, like a factory size, and it's a single, it's probably not fast. Now if it looks like it's about a factory size and it has a dual exhaust, now you need to start paying attention, because from the factory, the higher performance vehicles, the higher horsepower vehicles, had dual exhausts. There's a few different reasons for it, but primarily it's so that they could get more exhaust out, because the engine produces more exhaust because it has more power, okay? If you see a dual exhaust, it's probably fast, at least faster than the single exhaust version, right? So exhaust is the very first thing you want to look for. Second thing you want to look for is the tires, okay? I'm going to assume this is a rear-wheel drive car, just for my drawing, since I drew the back of the car. It applies to the front also. So on a front-wheel drive car, you're going to look at the front tires. On a rear-wheel drive car, you're going to look at the back tires. All-wheel drive, you're going to look at all of them, okay? So the tires. So if they have, you know, a little skinny stock style, you know, like a regular size tire on that thing, it ain't fast. Why? Because if that engine has a lot of power and it's really fast, those tires aren't going to have enough traction, okay? Skinny tires, it ain't got anything. Now if it has skinny tires on the front and humongous tires on the back, that's a different deal, okay? So, what if it has big wide tires like this? Right? Why would you need big wide tires other than they look freaking cool? Traction. Why would you need that much traction? Because you got a lot of power under the hood. You see a guy with a dual exhaust and wider tires than normal, it's for a reason. He needs the traction and he needs the airflow. that's a fast car. Unless you're in a fast car, don't play with it, okay? So the next thing that you want to look for, this is going to be mostly on a factory vehicle, because some factory vehicles are fast, right? Like they've got special edition ones or performance edition variables that you can get, right? Like if you want to go down and get a new Camaro, okay, you can either get a V6 Camaro or you can get, you know, their Cool Guy, the fastest version of their V8 Camaro, okay? So the next thing you want to look at, if you're dealing with a factory vehicle, if you're dealing with some custom hot rod, something like that, then this isn't going to apply most of the time. But you're going to want to look at badging, okay? And the badging, so let's say this is a Camaro, right? And it says, all right on it, it says Camaro. Camaro. I want to look for special letters. Does it say SS? Super Sport. That means fast, okay? We're going to take away the Camaro because this applies to all vehicles. Things you want to look for. SS, just S. S means that it's a sport. There's several different manufacturers that use sport, okay? There is GT, okay? Grand Touring typically. That's going to be a fast one. That's going to be probably a V8, okay? GTR. That's bad news for you. Anything that says TT, typically TT is twin turbo, right? That kind of thing. And a lot of times the fast badging is in red, okay? So it'll say, let's say it says Mustang, and then the GT can be in red. It's not always, but let's say it's a Toyota Corolla Type S, okay? And so you're looking for the badging that designates that this is a higher performance version. Okay, so we've looked at the back of the vehicle, right? We looked at the tires, we looked at the exhaust, we looked for the badging. Now, let's move around to the side of the vehicle. Let's look at the brake rotors, okay? Right inside of here, inside of the wheel, okay? Now, a standard brake rotor is just going to be, I'll draw that a little bit bigger so you guys can see detail a little bit better. It's just going to be a standard circle flat steel plate, right? And then it's going to have your brake caliper over here, okay? That, if you look in there and you see just a smooth rotor, probably no big deal. Where it does become possibly a big deal is when you look in there and you see that that rotor has slots in it, and or you can get dimples in them as well. And some of them are slotted and dimpled, some of them are just slotted, some of them are just dimpled. Now, does this make the car faster? No, it does not. It does look cool though. And so this isn't a telltale sign because a lot of guys that have show cars will change out their rotors just so that they look nice. But if you do have a fast car, it requires better braking, and these dissipate heat better and they brake better, okay? And so a higher performance car is going to have higher performance brakes. So if you see a vehicle that has big tires, dual exhaust, or a big exhaust, and it's got better braking, a higher performance rotor, it's fast. So what else can we do other than just looking at a vehicle to see if it's got some of the components that a fast car would have? Well, if you're lucky enough, you can listen to it, right? Like if it's driving down the road or if you happen to hear him start the thing up. There's a couple of things you want to listen for. Number one thing you want to listen for is does it sound louder than most cars, right? Like, is the exhaust putting out more air than a normal exhaust? And the easiest way to describe it is it sounds more powerful, okay? It puts out a higher volume of exhaust, okay? So that's the first thing we want to listen for. The second thing we want to listen for is, does it have any kind of a whining noise, like a whir while it's running? If it does have a whining noise, there's a really good chance that that thing has a supercharger. That's bad news if you don't, right? That's forced induction. That's Cool Guy fast stuff. Okay, so listen for the whining noise. Another thing you want to listen for, now this is only going to be on acceleration of the engine. Listen to see if it has kind of like a jet noise, like a right? It's called a spooling noise. If it does have a spooling noise, it probably has a turbo. That again is another cool guy, fast car thing. It puts more air into the engine and it's going to make it a lot faster, okay? A lot of times if it's from the factory and it has a turbo or a supercharger, it'll be right back here. It'll say supercharged or turbo or whatever on the badging somewhere. So those are things that you're definitely going to want to look for. And then finally, if you go up, you can either do this back by the exhaust or up by the engine, but if it has a very rough idle, right? If it, instead of going it goes blah, 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 or blah, 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 okay? Basically it means that that is a performance engine probably, unless it's just running like crap. They call that lope, cam lope. It means that it's a much higher performance engine and that it's going to have a lot more power probably, unless, like I say, unless it's just running like crap. So if you hear bloop, 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 it's fast, okay? Assuming that it has these other things that we already looked for. If you hear the whining, wah, fast. If you hear the spooling as it's taken off, it's probably turbo. Also, you'll hear, if it has an aftermarket turbo, when they let off the throttle, you'll hear a psh noise or a toot noise. That's the boost pressure getting let out, okay? Any of those things are going to be a quick way to identify if a vehicle is fast or not, just by looking at it, and if you're lucky enough, listening to it. All right, now let's talk about what things do not mean that it's a fast vehicle, okay? These are things that common modifications that guys will make that are just appearance modifications, and a lot of guys do them, okay? And there's a lot of guys that just go for just appearance and they don't worry about the performance. They call it all show and no go. So the things that you're going to look for there, a big one is this. Let's say it has, I'm going to do these in brown. Let's say that the vehicle has a great big spoiler on it, like the Never Done Alero. A lot of the tuner guys do this. A lot of the supercars and stuff have them, and so it's a cool guy thing, right? That is an appearance item most of the time. Does it create downforce? Does it do things? Yes, it does. Does that mean, because a car has that it's fast? No, it does not. Most of the time, 99 times out of 100, that's just an appearance thing, okay? The same thing is true for, let me see if I can get this erased. Same thing is true for a body kit, right? So let's say they got some really cool body kit that comes way out and it looks all great, right? The bumpers that go down lower, and let's say they have this great big giant muffler out here, or not muffler, well yeah, muffler, great big exhaust right there. That does not mean that it's faster unless or that it's a fast car unless it has the other things that we already talked about, okay? Lifting a vehicle, lowering a vehicle, cool sparkly paint. Another popular one is a hood that is custom, like a cowl hood. So if you're looking at the front of the vehicle, like if these are the headlights, and you've got a hood that has a great big bump on it, or you've got a hood that has, you know, some vents or something in it, you know, like the dual snorkel vents, all that kind of stuff. That does not necessarily mean that it's faster. Most of the time, those are just for looks, okay? Another thing that you'll see really commonly is stickers. You'll have guys that'll have Never Done stickers, right? They don't really have them, but only cool guys have those. Anyway, you'll see guys that all the way down the side of their vehicle, they'll have a whole bunch of stickers. Typically stickers, there's two different schools there. There's the guys that just put them on to look cool, and then there's the guys that take their cars to shows or to events, and those are their sponsors, and so they put their sponsors on there. But stickers aren't a very good indicator for whether a car is fast or not. Okay, that's pretty much it. If you guys liked the video, please give it a like. If you've got something to say, throw it in the comments below. I'll check it out and respond. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and take a look at our website, NeverDoneUSA.com, for exclusive Never Done gear. Thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.